Welcome back, everybody, to These Aren't the Nerds You're Looking For. Lorenzo Fawn sitting here with...
Kevin Horde. I got some jazz hands going on, even though nobody can see him.
Nobody can see it. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing well. A little behind on life, but I'm all right with that.
Right, yeah, you and me both. We are recording a special episode today, being that this will be our 100th episode of These Aren't the Nerds You're Looking For.
Yeah, it seems pretty quick, man. Came around
It does.
I'm excited.
Yeah. When did we officially release the first episode? What was it, like February 2018?
Yeah.
March?
No, it was February. It was like February 23rd. And we dropped 3 episodes that day.
Right.
Officially, I think in the beginning we were calling them episode -1, episode 0, and episode 1. And I think later we said, nah, fuck that. It's just
that makes no sense.
1, 2.
Yeah.
Let's go.
We had a major restructuring for sure.
So.
And yeah, now we are counting this as 100 full episodes.
Yeah. It's awesome.
So, yeah. So we'll kind of talk a little bit about the podcast itself, but there's still a lot of cool news to talk about. So we thought this would be a fun episode to kind of chat about recent things that were revealed via Disney, and especially in the post-Fox Disney merger.
Yeah, we got some off-the-cuff discussion going on here tonight. So, in case we do get a little bit tangential,
which is guaranteed, yeah.
Yeah, watch out for potential spoilers on anything that's happening in media or movies at this point. So, that being said, come along for the journey. Episode 100. What do you got on board for us, Mr. Lorenzo?
So we had a super release date shuffle from Disney regarding all the properties they own now. The major set is that Avatar 2 again has been pushed back another year. It was supposed to come out 2020. It will now come out December 2021, but then the year following, we're getting whatever this new Star Wars movie is. It's not episode 10 per se. It's just new Star Wars.
This is the next new Star Wars film after
theatrical.
Episode 9.
Yes.
We'll call it that.
And then we have alternating back and forth Avatar, Star Wars. So 2022 Star Wars, 2023 Avatar 3, 2024 Star Wars, 2025 Avatar 4, 2026 Star Wars, 2027 Avatar 5. Yeah. There were a lot of numbers there, so I was already losing what I was thinking about saying. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so we don't know exactly what these 3 Star Wars movies will be. We are just assuming that they will be a connected trilogy because there's 3 of them announced, but right now we don't know if it's Rian Johnson's recent prior announced trilogy or David Benioff's and DB Weiss's planned trilogy, or the last rumor I had heard is that Kathleen Kennedy was having them work together on some sort of connected story. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts or opinions, or it's all speculation from your and my standpoint?
So before I get into speculation, I did want to throw a shout out to Kyle from YouTube. Left us a comment that said, love the talk, guys. This year's going to be awesome. So much wars. What are your guys' thoughts on the new release dates of the new films? So that's kind of what we're talking about now. Hey, thanks, Kyle.
Yes.
So to get to your question first, I guess I hadn't really thought of whether this would be a trilogy or whether this would be just independent films, right? So you bringing up that question just kind of makes my mind melt, and now I have to rethink things because I guess I just kind of thought, they've released the 3 release dates, and it's every other year. So in my mind, it's just the next trilogy of something.
But there's nothing officially saying that. That's why I'm kind of just throwing that out there now, like.
Right. And to get to Kyle's question, what do I think about the release dates? Like, I'm a little bummed because we are going to have like a 5-year gap. Not 5 years. How many years? 3 years.
3.
A 3-year gap. Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, back in the day, that's what you got. You had 77, 80, 83. You had 99, 2002, 2005, 2008. For, if you want to count the Clone Wars movie. So I think there's going to be enough movies in other genres of nerddom to hold us over until that time comes. Anticipation will build. I think it may be, I don't want to say this is like a response to the perceived Solo not doing as well as expected, or like a rebuttal to that, or the recent news that they were going to kind of pump the brakes on Star Wars movies a little bit and realign their objectives, or if it's strictly a hey, let's pause, let's let the anticipation build again, and let's bring down the new weekend box office record. Is that what they're going for?
I don't know.
Are we gearing up to something like that? I don't really know.
All that said, it is weird that 2019 alone we have 3 Marvel movies coming out in the span of 4 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yet, a Solo comes out 5 months after The Last Jedi, and people are like, oh no, like fatigue, and I had brought up that Solo really did numbers similar to, say, Doctor Strange. I think I've mentioned that on this podcast before, honestly. And nobody was calling for Kevin Feige's removal from Marvel, right?
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of trolling that is associated with Solo, and it's unfortunate.
Right. So it's, I don't see why. I think Star Wars maybe should have eased up to it, perhaps, right? Or also given us a movie, like, to me, as much as I enjoyed Solo, there was nothing there that I personally needed explained in my life, right?
I will say regarding Solo, when I first saw it, it was mediocre for me. In our review, I did give it a thumbs down. In rewatches of that film, I love it more and more every single time I see it. And to your point that, it's not necessarily anything that you needed to see, I will totally agree with that. Some of it is stuff that I wanted to see, and most of it is stuff that is just enjoyable.
Yeah. Like, to me, it was interesting. Just, again, now we're just getting in mini review land, but to me, where Rogue One backfilled shit in a way that rarely prequels do well, right? Like, this really adds to the world now. Whereas we get to Solo, and it's like, oh, he's called Solo because some dude just randomly gave him that name. And look, the guy's making his gun for him. And oh, look, like, now we're getting back into like that fan service of episode 1 where it's like, look at all these, like, this is how C-3PO was built. Anakin built him. Isn't that neat? Like, right? So Solo fell so hard into that trap. But all the same, like, I could have totally still taken a 2020 Star Wars movie, and
absolutely,
like,
man.
Like, it's just weird to think that by the time of the current planned Star Wars movies, I'm gonna be 38 when that last one comes out. Like, So
when's that one coming out?
2026. Like 2026, man. Like, just say it out loud. Like, that's a real year that is in our like near-ish future.
This is 11 years after Marty McFly went into the future.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like,
in the future.
Like that is what is so nuts to me, that their roadmap is looking forward over 7 years, 8 years at this point, right? Like, they are there's a date for Avatar 5 for 2017 or 2027, sorry. So this is what's great. Like, and of course, any future date is always tentative, right?
As we've seen with Avatar 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the past, and potentially
or
in the
hell,
future.
Let's talk about non-Star Wars properties that were announced in the release date shuffle, where Artemis Fowl was supposed to come out in August of this year, 2019, and that is now pushed to May 29th of 2020, more than a year away.
Yeah.
Like, it could be easily assumed that unless they're planning some crazy reshoots or something, that movie should have been pretty far along in post-production if they were planning an August release.
Right.
But, I mean, again, like...
It's definitely a thing that you see, and it's not necessarily not going to happen with this lineup. None of this stuff is set in stone.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? The only other thing that I have to say about the release dates of this new trilogy of movies, not necessarily trilogy of story, is that when I first heard many years ago that Disney was going to push forward and their plan was have a Star Wars movie every year, in for the foreseeable future, right? That was their goal. I thought to myself, this is not going to fucking work. Like, it takes 3 years to make a good Star Wars movie and yada, yada, yada. And then it happened and I was gung-ho all for it. And I'm like, all right, this is awesome. We're getting a Star Wars movie every year. I got used to it. Now they're like, time out. We're going to go back to every 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
So every time I get used to something these MFers are doing, they switch it up on me. That's all I got to say. I'm done with that one.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, the little gap between Last Jedi and Solo still felt like a decent chunk of time to me, even though it's just 5 months. But now that we're on the other side of the pendulum, going from May 2018 to December 2019, I mean, just even looking forward to Rise of Skywalker, that still feels like ages away to me. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, there's other stuff, Mandalorian to look forward to, new Clone Wars, more Resistance. Star Wars isn't going away, but when it comes to these big tentpole movies,
right,
like, this is killing me on the inside. So,
do you think it has anything to do with Marvel and the stuff that is coming along with Marvel as well, or do you think that this is maybe just like a change in focus towards Disney Plus for right now? Because
I think it's an interesting relationship, trying to think about who is making these decisions. I know when it comes to Solo, Bob Iger really pushed for Solo to meet its deadline, also because when it comes to Disney big picture, they kind of already were lining up Mary Poppins to be the holiday movie for Disney in general.
Right.
Kathleen Kennedy, as far as I have seen reports, did try to do a push for Solo to get moved back to Christmas, as we have all gotten used to Star Wars at Christmas time. But Bob Iger pushed back and said, nope, Mary Poppins has that spot. We're going to let Mary Poppins do its thing.
Cool.
And as soon as Solo got released, Bob Iger goes, nope, I made the wrong choice. And I do give him props for saying that he made a wrong decision there.
Yeah, that's happened a couple of times in the Disney, I was going to say Disney World, but that's a different thing.
Right.
In the
Disney chain of decision making.
There you go. Well said.
So yes. So yeah, like, each company still kind of acts somewhat autonomously, but there is still an overarching Bob Iger chat with Kevin Feige, Kathleen Kennedy, Pete Docter at Pixar, right? And now we have Fox Searchlight, and Blue Sky Studios, which they own.
That's a lot of shit.
Yeah, it's a lot of shit. So it's real interesting seeing what's on Fox's docket, and it's the other interesting part of this release date shuffle is seeing things I would never associate with Disney, but it's kind of the inherited part of the chain where, like, hey, guess what? A few weeks ago they released a religious movie with what's his face from Topher Grace and Josh Lucas about a kid in St. Charles falling in the ice, and they spoiled the whole movie in the trailer. And that's a fucking Disney movie that they made money off of, right? Like,
I mean, to be honest, it was a news story that happened like 2.5 years ago. So how much can you really spoil of the movie in the trailer?
Here's the thing. Even if I go into Titanic knowing that Titanic sinks, I don't need to see the sinking in the trailer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I had this argument with somebody when they made the fictionalized movie version of Man on Wire.
Okay.
I know Robert Zemeckis has this really fucking bad habit of spoiling his own movies in the trailers. So I try to avoid any and all Robert Zemeckis trailers, period. Because he is literally the fucking worst with spoilers for his own movies. That said, somebody asked me why I cared about, I forgot what it was even called. Like, I think it was The Walk, I think is what they called it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the Joseph Gordon-Levitt movie where he walks across the Twin Towers.
The Walk or The Wire?
So Man on Wire was the documentary. I think it was called The Walk for the fiction movie. Now, here's my problem. I know he's going to walk that, and I know exactly what happens, but the trailers give me all 3 acts, right? So then I already know how I'm going to feel in this fictionalized version of the movie.
Right.
So then there's a difference between knowing what happens but still being taken along for the ride in the movie, because a movie is not what it's about, it's how it goes about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you show me how you're going to go about it, then, well, fuck you. Like, what is there for me to watch at this point?
The rest of the movie?
But, like, the emotional arc has been played out in 3 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm emotionally fulfilled. Like, I am
That's funny because, like, for that, in that instance, like, that 3 minutes got me emotionally invested, and now I want to see the rest of what's going on.
Nope. I already know how it's playing out. I already, like, it's like I already know how it's going to play, and therefore when I get to that climax in the movie itself, if I already know that scene is coming the whole fucking time, then, like, I don't need to see the build up to it, right? Because I already know what the emotional payoff will be.
So this is before trailers betrayed you and you trusted in them at that time, because I know you don't anymore.
I would rather trailers lie to me completely, but again, it's Robert Zemeckis, and I can tell you exactly why I don't trust Robert Zemeckis. Because his trailer for What Lies Beneath 1998 gave away the twist ending.
Okay.
If you remember that movie, in the fucking trailer,
That was
Michelle
Harrison
Pfeiffer,
Ford and
Michelle Pfeiffer, she sees ghosts. She sees a ghost that looks just like her. She sees a ghost in the bathtub. Cuts to Harrison Ford saying, "I had an affair with our neighbor. Neighbor is dead." In the trailer. So then you're watching the movie. There's a mystery. Who could this be? What is this ghost? Cuts to Harrison Ford going, "Hey, Neighbor is dead. I had an affair with neighbor. Neighbor is the ghost. And movie ends. Like,
did he have an affair with her before or after she died?
I don't even fucking care at this point. Other movie that burned me is Castaway, where all the trailers and Robert Zemeckis in interviews said it's a story about a man spending 4 years on an island. That's a really specific fucking number, man. Like, that's a really stupidly specific number. So then,
if it would have been 5 years, I would have just assumed that it happened like in between the snaps.
Right. Or it's just like 5 is a nice round estimate sort of a number, right? Like, but he kept saying 4. It's about a man spending 4 years on an island. And I do remember even at some point Robert Zemeckis was like, yeah, and it's like about how he comes back and like deals with like his absence. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what the actual fuck? Anyways, we have lost our train of thought here. That was...
No, it's all good. I mean,
trail
on
number 3.
Our Robert Zemeckis review podcast, I think we're staying pretty well on task. I would like to get back to movies a little bit later, but I think you had something to talk about Disney parks.
Yes.
Right? So what you get?
For anybody interested, and God bless you because I have not checked lately, and goodness knows if they're still available. But if you were planning on going to Disney's Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland, again, we have discussed this before on the podcast. Official opening date is May 31st. But from May 31st to June 23rd, you must make reservations. We have gotten more news. The reservations have been made available. I have mine for June 5th. I have mine.
Oh, wait, no, I don't.
For never. Yes, what I was going to say. The reservations are for 4-hour windows. Today, as of this recording, we did get a little bit more news about how that will be enforced. Everybody will have color-coded wristbands that apply to those 4-hour windows. For example, I have June 5th from 5 until 9 p.m.
So how do they get you to leave?
That is the question.
Like, if you're not out the gates by 9 p.m., does your wristband blow up?
So there will be a gentle suggestion that you are to leave at some point. They're basically kind of planning that you're going to self-enforce it, but there will be a gentle nudge leading to potentially in-universe, like stormtroopers literally escorting you out of the area.
Move along.
There are a lot of interesting official quotes from Disney Parks Vice President, whose name I don't have in front of me, and nor do I know off the top of my head. But he said something, right? Yeah, Bob Iger, Bob Chapek, Mickey Mouse.
Yep, pretty sure.
But they did say that in this first month of being open, they do expect that 4 hours would be more than enough time for people to fully explore Galaxy's Edge.
Wow.
To that, I say, fuck off.
Yeah, I feel like 4 days, maybe.
I'm just going to go that harsh right fucking now. I feel like the line from Millennium Falcon, Smuggler's Run,
will
itself,
be 4 hours.
Right. There are a lot of other rules that I'm still trying to figure out, such as here's why I don't think 4 hours is enough. I feel like it'll take me about 1 hour to get into the cantina. I think it'll take me about 1 hour to get into the lightsaber building, whatever you want to fucking call that.
And this is the custom lightsabers?
Custom lightsabers.
Look fucking badass. Did you find out a price point on those?
No, there are no official price points yet, but again, the rumor is anywhere between 100 to 150-ish range, US dollars.
I only have Republic credits, man.
Right, yeah. Don't forget also all the other food items that I would want to try in there. Also, this is a 14-acre plot of land. There's lots of nooks and crannies I'm going to want to explore. And then, yes, Smuggler's Run, I feel like will be at least 2 hours. That said,
you also have to find Yoda.
Yes.
You go talk to Hondo.
Whatever. All of these damn experiences I feel like will take a long time. That said, with the way that they are saying that 4 hours will be enough time, I'm hoping that the amount of reservations they've handed out are on the lighter end of things.
That's a good point.
I'm thinking that they were very frugal with the reservations being handed out.
It's
for
like a
this
3-week
run.
VIP
First look, yeah.
preview.
Yeah. Even though they're calling May
3-week.
31st the official opening,
It's like a soft opening.
it's still, yeah, like it is like an official hard opening, but really, like, to me, June 24th, when the reservation system goes away and it's a free for all, I do feel like that's when the true madness of Galaxy's Edge will take over, and that's when we'll start seeing like 5-hour lines for Smuggler's Run and shit like that. But as of now, the idea that they're considering 4 hours being enough to go on the ride and experience blue milk, alcoholic drinks, lightsaber builds, meeting Hondo.
I could spend like 4 hours building a fucking lightsaber.
That's what I'm saying too. Like they said the room holds it's 14 people at a time, but hell, like the plastic lightsaber I made in Tomorrowland, like my mind like does not like making decisions. So like I was just like, I'm like, let's try this piece. Let's try this other piece. Let's try piece 1 again. Let's try piece 1 with this piece. I feel like I took like 30 damn minutes, and there weren't many options, but and it was like $20. So $20 is not big in the grand scheme of things. When you're asking me to plop $150 fucking dollars down, I'm gonna make some hard decisions. Okay. Like,
you also need to wear some cargo pants with a lot of pockets.
Right. Yeah. Just gotta, hold on to a lot of these pieces. But yeah, so I'm really curious to see how this will work. I'm also curious. One of the other ways they're kind of enforcing the wristband situation will be the idea that, like, let's say your time ends at 5 p.m. Basically, if you try to get on Smuggler's Run, they will say, hey, no, you can't. Like, your time is up. So essentially, they're not kicking you out of the land, but they're kind of telling you, well, you can't go on this ride, so what the fuck else are you going to do, right?
And we're not going to serve you here.
Right.
You can't buy a lightsaber.
Yeah, you can't buy a lightsaber, and then you're just like, fuck, like, I can't do anything. So then, basically, you're kind of, like, like I said, gently nudged out of the land.
Right.
So I still have questions about this, such as, like, to me, like, the game plan I have is, like, getting in there at 5 p.m. I think I'll try and experience, like, Olga's Cantina first. But then what are the rules on, like, if I got into line for Smuggler's Run at 2 hours and 58 or 3 hours and 58 minutes into, like, if I got in line at 8:50, right?
Okay, so complete speculation here.
Yes. Yeah.
Say that cast members are monitoring said line, right?
Yeah.
And they're seeing that it takes 1 hour to get through the line. These are arbitrary numbers, right?
Right. Of course. Yeah.
So your wristband supposedly expires at 9 o'clock. So at 8 o'clock they go, all right, guys, like, we're not, like, nobody else in line because like you've timed out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they don't wait until the very last minute to time everybody out. Maybe it's a half hour early or an hour early.
Right.
Or maybe they're like, I don't give a fuck, ride the ride.
Right. Like, I think here's the general rules on how the park has always operated before, right? Park closes at midnight. That doesn't mean everybody needs to be on the ride and off the ride by midnight. You can walk into Space Mountain queue, even if it's a 2-hour queue, at 11:59, and then at midnight that rope comes up.
And no one after that they'll probably do the same fucking thing.
Right. So that's what I'm curious about the wristband situation. If there's maybe a harder set, like, like you can get, like, that's why I'm curious. Like, if I got in line at like 8:50 for a 1.5 hour line.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kosher? Is that still like within the rules of engagement here, right?
Based on what you have told me about Space Mountain, yes.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm hoping for. So, but we shall see. Like I said, my reservations for June 5th. That said, as far as I know, I can't make a second reservation, but I only have to wait until less than 20 days till June 24th, and it's free for all.
Right.
That said, if you are planning on visiting Disneyland during this first month of Galaxy's Edge being open, there is 0 standby line. You must have a reservation made. I have a QR code in my email. Apparently, they'll be checking IDs. Like I said, there's a wristband that's happening. And for other private events that they've held, like there'll be a separate. There have been separate tables like outside of the parks where like you show your ID and you show your separate special event ticket, right? This is a thing they've done before, so it's not a completely new system being made out of nowhere, right?
You just need to hope that guy that was working the line at Star Wars Celebration didn't get a new job at Disney.
It's very likely. It's very possible. But that said, this land is coming along. We got less than a month. And I am glad at least that I'm not May 31st. Like I said before, I will be out of town. But June 5th is the first full day I'm back. I will be at work in June 5th, and then as soon as I'm out of work, I'm just going straight to Disneyland. But I'm kind of glad that I'll see what the rules are, so that if I can see if people are getting in line 2 minutes before the wristband expires. For
sure. They'll be able to at least iron some of those kinks out before you get there.
Right.
That starts.
For sure.
So.
Yeah. So again, I think the reservation system will be good. I know getting the reservation was sort of difficult, but I was able to do it while actually waiting at the airport to go back to Chicago. So,
nice.
Yeah, I honestly forgot, but I know people. It was an interesting system. It was similar to the San Diego Comic-Con system where you would click on the link and then it would send you to a waiting room. My understanding was people were being moved from the waiting virtual queue into the room to make the virtual room to make a reservation based on like a lottery system rather than an actual virtual queuing system. That said, I had heard reports that like it opened at 10 a.m. and people clicked the link right at 10 a.m. Some people weren't able to make reservations until like 11 o'clock. I clicked on the link at like 10:50 and had my phone screen on, and then by right about 11 o'clock I was able to make a reservation, which was good because I boarded the plane at 11:10. So
nice.
But yeah, so I'll report back with that. But yeah, beyond that, this land is coming along. We're getting just little bits of more news. Like I said, lightsabers. We got a little bit more details about that. But man, yeah, which is kind of weird that they didn't show off more of that at Star Wars Celebration. It's weird that they were holding on to any of this at all, honestly.
Don't forget your Dasani and Coca-Cola, man.
Oh God, yeah, that's the big announcement. Yeah, Orabesh, Coke, and Dasani and Sprite.
So that's what you need to worry about. You need to go to the cantina. You need to go and ride Smuggler's Run, and then at 8:59, you need to get yourself in line for one of those fucking Coke bottles.
Right. The only other Disney Parks news I will want to talk about, and we have not previously discussed this, and it's not Star Wars related, but there were some leaked plans for the potential Spider-Man ride in the Marvel section that will open in 2020.
Nice. Does it take you far from home?
It does not appear to do that. I know.
Man.
I know you have limited knowledge of Disney rides, so I'm going to describe a ride that already exists at both Disney Hollywood Studios and Disney California Adventure. Disney California Adventure being the second park here in California, obviously. Okay. Disney Hollywood Studios is the park in Florida where Galaxy's Edge is being put there.
Okay.
There's a ride called Toy Story Midway Mania where you sit in a little car and you have like a virtual little gun thing ahead of you.
Okay.
You put on 3D glasses and it's basically a video game, a 3D video game, and Woody and Buzz and them tell you to shoot things that come in front of you. Okay. So you pull a string and there it goes. You see it appear on screen and you're shooting plates or you're shooting eggs at a barn and blah, blah, whatever. You accrue points, whatever.
Lorenzo is very animated right now.
Right. It's a fun ride. It just is fine. It's a video game, essentially. If you're into paying $100 to just play a video game. So, there were leaked patents that Disney filed a couple years back that involved like a swinging pendulum that riders would sit in, and there was a lot of speculation that this would be part of like the Spider-Man swinging ride sort of thing that would still be interactive, blah, blah. Well, the leaked plans come out and nope, just a regular ride track on the ground. And as far as we can see, it looks like the ride system that would be Toy Story Midway Mania, where you're shooting webs at stuff and you're helping Spidey do whatever he's got to fucking do.
Do you get bit by a spider at the end?
I don't. Honestly, in this one, I got nothing. I don't think so. But the disappointment will be that if this is indeed the ride we are getting, we follow Spider-Man and we help him shoot at villains sort of ride.
Now, what if there's an alternative to the ride and it's like a bunch of office chairs and like cubicles and you can be the guy in the chair, and so you can like communicate with somebody while they're on the ride? Like if you and I were there, I'd be like the guy in the chair and you could ride the ride and you'd have like a little earpiece and I could just talk to you while like typing on my keyboard.
I mean,
would that make it better?
No. The reason I'm sad is because this ride already exists in the park.
Not with the guy in the chair.
Would you want to wait 3 hours to sit in a chair and yell directions at somebody? Is that
maybe?
Is that something you'd pay $120 for?
I mean, maybe after I get my lightsaber.
Yeah, just remember, like, you and your family of 4 are paying $120 each.
Yeah, but we're going to do other stuff. It's not like you're paying $120 just to go on that ride.
Still, if that's like the flagship thing to do is shoot web at a thing, and then the other thing to do in that park that you are also describing here is sitting in a thing and shooting virtual baseballs at virtual plates. Like, do you see my issue here? Like,
yeah,
like you're
because
paying,
there's no guy in the chair at the baseball thing,
right?
I get it.
So,
I don't know.
Like I said, this is all rumor. This is all speculation. When it comes to the rumor mill for Disneyland, it's always been like fucking nuts, and honestly, like 20% of it comes true, right? But this one is concerning, to say the least. So just throwing that out there, that this building is coming along. Again, this Marvel section is opening in phases, with phase 1 opening next year in 2020. Again, clearly a quick rush to try and pull some crowd away from Galaxy's Edge, which will surely be crazy busy for years to come.
Yeah,
I've made the comparison that the last big land opening was Cars Land in DCA, Disney California Adventure, and to this day that part of the land is still insanely busy. That the main ride there still has like 2-hour waits, so yeah, we'll see how that all goes. Yeah. So yeah. Anyways,
what else you got on Disney?
That's kind of
Disney parks.
I think that's kind of the big thing on Disney parks. So actually, the other big thing that was announced was Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is fully announced to be opened in Toontown at Disneyland. We knew it was coming to Disney Hollywood Studios, and then just slyly in a blog, they go, hey, guess what? That ride's also coming to Disneyland. So
Nice.
Any rumors of Toontown going away has been basically easily, like I said, rumor mill. A lot of the rumor mill was saying that Toontown, which is Fantasyland adjacent in Disneyland, would be either replaced with like Arendelle or Tangled Land, or potentially just absorbed into Fantasyland just to expand out Fantasyland to, again, because it's Toontown will be right next to Galaxy's Edge, geographically speaking. In the park, there's still a long walk that you would have to go down, south, west, through Fantasyland, and then back north into Galaxy's Edge. But physically on a map, like if you Google map this shit, like they border each other. So there was a lot of rumors that Toontown would sort of be folded into Fantasyland to try and bump up Fantasyland a little bit. But again, this ride sounds like another attempt to just give Disneyland something that isn't Star Wars related, so that crowds can kind of get pulled that way. But the opening for this one isn't due until 2022, so we got quite the wait for this one. All the same, I'm not gonna lie, Toontown, if it burned to the ground, I would not have been sad whatsoever. There's a solid ride there. It just they could have kept the rides and thematically folded everything into Fantasyland, and I would have been fine with that. There's just a lot of open space there that needs to be utilized a lot better. I think I sent you a picture where you can like look right at Star Wars buildings from Toontown. Like,
you have sent me various pictures where you
Right.
can see different parts of Galaxy's Edge.
yeah, you can
But
definitely
I don't
see
know
it from
where-
the-
I don't know where
right.
they're
Yeah,
from.
you don't know. Yeah, anything Disney.
Yeah.
So,
No.
yeah, but yeah,
They're
so,
from the ground, I assume.
yeah,
And sometimes they're from a ride.
right.
Uh,
So, we got a lot. Yeah, actually, kind of, a lot happening at Disneyland right now. So, did we talk about the Void on this show at all yet?
Nope.
Should
we
I
avoided that one.
should I talk about the Void?
Yeah. I tried to make a little pun there. I don't know if you noticed.
Yes, I did. Don't worry, it did not go unnoticed. But yeah, should I run through a quick review of the Void?
Yeah.
Because I don't think I've talked to you about it actually, but okay, full spoilers on the Void. Full spoilers. I'll do a quick run through. If you are unaware about what the Void is, it is a Star Wars VR experience that is available in downtown Disney Springs. They have opened up other locations, so I believe there's one. If you're still Southern California based, Glendale Galleria has the Void. And there are different experiences that you can have there, but the main draw is Star Wars Secrets of the Empire. It is an in-canon story experience in which Cassian Andor sends you on a mission with K2 to Mustafar to try and gain intel. This is a in-canon story written by David S. Goyer, who wrote frickin' the scripts for Nolan Batman movies, right?
I feel like we talked about this. But I don't remember.
I talked about coincidentally seeing the Blade in one of the episodes in the Overlords episode and thinking it was the Blade from Secrets of the Empire.
Yes.
But I did not give a full review on the Void experience itself. So here I will explain why I thought that thought, basically backfilling in that information. What makes this experience different, and I thought it was really cool and liked it a lot, is that it's a VR experience, but you are traveling through physical space, so you are taking actual steps through a hallway. But what
it's like
you
the
are
Matrix.
yeah,
Except for you're
essentially.
moving.
But you are moving around. There's even a thing where like there's a lever on a wall and you reach out your hand and you feel a physical lever and you have to pull that lever down, right?
Okay.
There's a window I looked through, but I put my hands up against a physical thing and like bumped my head against the fake window as I was trying to look into the surroundings, right?
What if while you're wearing these goggles and other VR equipment, they're actually just like parading you through the bathroom?
Well, here's something interesting. You say that in jest, but and I do want to see what the physical space looks like, because the creator did say that in the VR world, sometimes it appears that you're walking down a straight hall.
And you're not.
You're not. Yeah, sometimes to make it fit, they curve the hallway a little bit. But because of what you're seeing, the illusion is close enough that it's cramming the space in just a little bit, which I found very interesting. That said, to your point as well, there was a point where when you go in teams of 4.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what, if you go with you and one partner, they'll pair you up with 2 other people, right?
Right.
2 strangers, whatever. But I went with 3 friends, so we're all together on a team.
And you just hope they're not wearing red shirts, because
right, yeah,
the dudes always die.
Right. Like I love my friends, but there were moments where I would love to do this again. But here's overarching facts that are problematic. It was about $38 after taxes and fees.
Mm-hmm.
The whole experience lasts about 30 minutes, but that includes like signing in and getting strapped into the VR pack. Once the game starts, that's literally about a 15-minute experience, which is rough. Like, even if it was like $20, I would feel a lot better about this. And because it's a gaming component and like it keeps score, I would love to do this again and try and up my score, right? And like find more secrets and hidden hallways or whatever to this experience.
You buy like a season pass to it?
Nope, not at all. $35 every fucking time. I looked into that too. Like, because I totally would.
Expensive.
Oh, yeah. No. Like, I would never do this again unless there were like friends visiting. Like, if you came out here, then I would be like, Kevin, you have to do this. I would recommend this for you once. Right? That said, there was a section of the game where we all 4 of us kind of missed the direction K2 gave to us. Because, you know, you start the game and you're like, look at my hands. And, like, you know, you're, like, tapping each other and blah, blah, blah. But K2 tells you to go outside. And then I went outside. I'm like, hey, guys, it's a dead end. So we're all, like, scrambling in the smallest fucking hallway. We're like, well, he told us to go outside, but there's nowhere to go. So, like, what the fuck are we supposed to do? So we're walking back and forth trying to find a door, hidden walkway, whatever.
No, you were all supposed to go outside.
We were all supposed to go outside, yeah. So because we kept walking around, and we were literally standing in there for like 5 minutes or so, David, who was with us, he, you can't hear everybody.
David S. Goyer,
right? David S. Goyer himself. But you're all wearing headphones, so that's how you're hearing what's happening in world. But when you talk, there's a microphone that gets fed into everybody else's ears, which is kind of weird because you can still kind of hear everybody through the headphones physically, and then there's like that half-second delay where you hear their voice through the comms, right?
Right.
It's really trippy, but
it's kind of like the way that we communicate.
Basically, yeah. But while we're scrambling around this tiny hallway, David just goes, yeah, so somebody lifted up my headset and told us that we all have to be outside. So I think we should all go outside. So
probably Yoda.
An employee,
or Space Jesus.
Well, an employee walked up to him, noticed that we're like, because multiple teams are sent through the experience all at once. Right. So we were holding up some other team behind us.
Yeah. K2 is running out of excuses for why these other people couldn't go outside yet.
So exactly. So some dude or person lifted up his headset and was like, all of you have to go outside, which I think is fucking hilarious. But because of that, there was definitely a section of the game later that we definitely didn't get to fully experience, and it was really fucking obvious that we didn't, right? But that said, like there were like I stepped on a piece of lava and I felt that, right? Or when you're walking around Mustafar, when you're
Like
outside,
you burnt your foot?
you feel heat. They do blast some heat fans at you or something, right? It was very interesting, and I will say the finale was totally weak, at least in our experience, and I'm very curious to find out how much our fuck up had to do with that. But nonetheless, Darth Vader himself does show up at the end, and then a lot of stormtroopers pop out, but like the stormtroopers like weren't that heavy. I was really hoping it would be like a swarm of stormtroopers, but really it was like no more than 5 at a time. And
Do you think you would have chased them with your gun raised?
Chase too.
The stormtroopers.
No, because like what it was like you were standing on your own platform, then there was open expanse, then there was about 3 levels of platforms that they were running out, and you were just picking them off like Duck Hunt, essentially, right? Meanwhile, Darth Vader is coming at you. So, like, I yelled at my friends. I was like, okay, like, we can't, like, Darth Vader is blasting everything away. So, focus on stormtroopers. And honestly, like, it was really easy picking off the stormtroopers. And then the stormtroopers disappeared. And then I was like, focus all fire on Darth Vader. He, of course, can't die because this takes place right before Rogue One. And then there's like a literal Deus Ex Machina, or not literal, but there's a Deus Ex Machina where K2 crashes his ship into Darth Vader.
I can't believe that you fought Darth Vader right before Rogue One.
Yes.
That's incredible.
So, like, it is really interesting how this is a canon story, and the idea that Cassian Andor does send a group of rebels to infiltrate Mustafar. Now, here's the piece that I kind of revealed on the Overlords episode.
Okay.
Right before Darth Vader shows up, the piece of intel that you are sent there is basically a MacGuffin. I don't recall again. There's like the wow factor of the VR and like, oh, I can see my own hands in the VR thing, right? But then one of the other rebels that accompanies you on the mission, who is not K2 and is not Cassian Andor, he opens up a box and there is what currently is being referred to but is not officially named as the Proto Saber. It looks like the energy blade from Halo, so it has a split design, but it still has a physical hilt, but the hilt is more square, so it sort of looks like a split broadsword from like old English mythology stories, like King Arthur, shall we say, right?
Excalibur.
Right. So yeah, it has an Excalibur-esque hilt with the Halo energy blade. I straight up stopped whatever I was supposed to pay attention to and was fully invested in that box being opened before Darth Vader shows up. So that is all we see of this Proto Saber, but that is definitely the first appearance of the Proto Saber in anything. There is no explanation to why Darth Vader has it. There is no explanation as to how Darth Vader has it. There's no explanation as to why he's hiding it on Mustafar. There is word that it will appear in Vader Immortal, which is the upcoming, again, VR game for the Oculus Rift, I think is what the new Oculus is called. So that was one of the big games that was being touted at Star Wars Celebration Chicago in April. After experiencing the void, I really want to play Vader Immortal now, but I don't want to pay $400 for Oculus just to play these games.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And I do, again, I want to experience this again and focus more on that Proto Saber, and again, just the experience of the void. Shadows of the Empire, or Secrets of the Empire.
Yeah, Shadows of the Empire
is
or something different.
Very different, right? like the fact that this was a canon experience and it's from a first person perspective was super cool. Like,
Yeah, man, I didn't know that you were in. You are the Rogue One to Rogue One.
yes, like, yeah, like this is Rogue Zero essentially, right? Like I am
It's like Rogue One half.
right. So this was like if if we're going binary system, I would give thumbs up to the experience overall, right?
Nice.
Thumbs up to the story, thumbs up to the technology, thumbs up to like it was we went for my birthday and it was definitely a different experience that my friends and I have done versus any other birthday any of us have celebrated with each other, right? You know,
Nice.
like it's different than like hanging out at the bar or going on a hike or just sitting at the beach, right? Like this was definitely a fun, physical, like memorable thing that we can all chat about forever afterwards, right?
Next time
Yeah.
that you go and do this, you should acquire permanently the VR gear, and then you can wear it to the bar on your next birthday, and
Let
you
me
can
say-
be a stormtrooper at the bar.
Yeah, let me say the VR equipment there. It's funny. It does take a minute or two to acclimate, and the way the story unfolds is very wise because there is a section where you walk into the room, then you have a seat. K2 tells you to sit, and essentially you're just kind of sitting there, acclimating to. It's about like it feels like 5 or 10 pounds on your chest. It feels about like a few pounds on your head, right? You're not wearing gloves, so that kind of helps.
Weird. That's just weird.
I will say this as well: when you get shot, you feel it, which is interesting. I definitely had a shock when I was like, "Holy shit! I've just been shot." It's just a vibration, but it's still just like a jolt for sure.
So all this being said, I want somebody to build a VR interactive Death Star laser tag arena.
Right. That's what I was saying too. Like,
because that would be cool as shit. Like you could go in as either a rebel or you could go in
trooper.
as a stormtrooper.
Right.
Right?
Oh, this is exactly what I said after the fact. Like, it would be crazy to have a free-for-all melee sort of situation, right? Where things are flying around you. And again, with the VR system, like I reached out and picked up an actual rifle, and there's like a trigger to pull, and it was pretty awesome, like walking around with a gun and, you know, just pulling it on, like actually like physically getting in that military mode. Like, it's so weird because it's like all the hours of playing first-person shooters and getting in that mode, my mind is already there. So like I was really good at like noticing stuff, shooting at it, yelling directions at my friends. Like I was handling
like
that.
A first-person shooter.
Right. Exactly. So now there's like a physical component to it that was really interesting. So like I said, thumbs up to the experience. Now, my main criticism, it's way overpriced.
Way overpriced. Too fucking short.
Super overpriced and too fucking short. It needs to be $20 at most. And it needs to be a full 1 hour experience. Like that is what I say. Like 15 minutes goes by so quickly that I'm concerned. I wonder if it was just because the technology was so new that they were concerned that it's a physical activity, right? I think there's that concern that they aren't sure how sending families, like let's say like, you know, a more normal human being like your wife goes through this, right? And she literally has to run around for 60 solid minutes. Like, you know, like that is maybe going to be a harder sell for some people. But
she'd be down.
But 15 minutes goes by so quickly that when it was over, my friends and I all stopped and were like, "Wait, that's it?" Like like even though Darth Vader shows up, it doesn't feel like the boss level in a video game. Like it didn't have that satisfying like accomplishment. But also because there's a Deus Ex where K2 crashes and Darth disappears. Like I need to defeat something for that to have felt satisfactory, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whether like I don't know, like it would have been cooler if like a TIE fighter was coming at us and we had to shoot that down or something, right? But yeah, so I hope that they're working on a second experience in the same space that can kind of loop you around a couple of times, maybe, to be that 1 hour. Like I say a 1 hour experience for $20 is about what we're talking about, because $35 for 15 is just like insane, especially when like Endgame, it's a $15 movie for 3 hours of entertainment.
Yeah, and you're talking about $140 an hour at 35 for 15. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the value proposition just isn't quite there. The other note I made to my friends was at $38, toss in another $12, get to $50. For Southern California, about 20 minutes away is Knott's Berry Farm, which is a theme park with roller coasters and rides and other experiences that you can go for like 15 hours for $50.
That's a long time.
Right. So that's kind of the value proposition.
Kick you out after 4.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So that's the value proposition that I hope Disney and ILM Labs and The Void are all looking at very carefully. I will say what I like about The Void is the fact that it's pretty easy to duplicate. Like the idea that they've already opened one in the Glendale Galleria. Theoretically, they could open one in Chicago. And really it only takes up the space of, say, a large H&M, right? Like, like it doesn't.
We just got one of those.
It doesn't take up a lot of space. Yeah, like it could go in your local mall. It just is the cost of the VR equipment and pricing it where, like, $35 in Southern California, I think is okay, but I think propositioning that to a Midwest city is going to be a lot different, right?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you.
So that again is my major complaint. It thumbs up to the experience, thumbs way down to the value proposition that is levied there. So like I said, I hope there's an actual. I hope Vader Immortal isn't counted as the sequel to Secrets of the Empire. I hope that The Void, because at this point it's been open for about a year and a half now. They did add in a Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet experience into the same space.
Of course.
Apparently what it is like, from a physical standpoint, all they need to do is move a couple walls. Like everything in there is apparently very modular. So it's very easy to set allotted times for Wreck-It Ralph and allotted times for Star Wars. And all it takes is maybe 15 minutes of just moving a couple walls, moving a couple boxes. And apparently the Wreck-It Ralph experience is like completely different. Whereas in Star Wars, you're working together. In Wreck-It Ralph, there is a competition sort of element to it. Again, I don't really want to pay $35 to try Wreck-It Ralph, honestly.
Yeah, that one's a hard sell.
Right. So, anyways, that's my quick review of Star Wars: Secrets of the Empire at the Void in downtown Disney here in Disneyland.
So I have one thing to add to this.
Yes.
If you Google Proto Saber looking for what a Proto Saber is, you need to make it all one word, because if you type Proto space Saber, you get a whole bunch of pictures of this weird fucking RC car.
I think I had that same issue when I was looking up this Proto Saber.
Yeah, it looks like it's from like 1989.
Right.
But it seems to be some type of current phenomenon that I don't understand. because there seems to be a bunch of anime stuff that goes with it as well.
Eh?
So, I don't know. It's all over Tumblr and eBay and AliExpress and some other shit.
Right. Like I said, it's supposed, like, according to the Wikipedia, they've already kind of listed Vader Immortal as the Proto Saber appearing in.
Oh yeah, that's what I was looking for.
And I don't want to spend $400 just to play this game, but I won't feel complete now after experiencing the Void until I know more about this Proto Saber.
All in due time, my friend.
Oh, God, yeah. Hopefully it comes to like the PSVR thing or something. I at least already have a PS4, but oh man, like going Oculus for a full in-canon experience via Star Wars is a very, very strange decision when it comes to Lucasfilm. Like, the reason the Void is interesting also is because it's, when it comes to canon stories, that is a story that you cannot experience. It's really weird to me. Like,
right.
Like, you can read all the books. You can watch all the TV shows. You can watch the movies, of course.
Yeah.
But there is an in-canon story that I just had to explain to you. And you can't experience unless you fucking get on a plane to either Florida or Southern California.
That's not true. I have a golf cart at work,
right,
and I could drive it there.
Just take it all the way,
eventually.
Man. Yep.
Take a long time.
Right.
But by the time I got there, I probably would have spent my $38.50 on gasoline or something.
Right.
And then at that point, I think it'd be SOL or something.
Yeah,
not really sure. Yeah.
Anyways, yep. So that's we have traversed the topics in this special episode, haven't we?
Yeah, I feel like you had three things that you wanted to bring up. And I know two of them we covered. One would be the new trilogy of movies. Yep. Two would be Galaxy's Edge. Was 3 this last VR thing? Or what was the third thing?
Not before we started this episode. That kind of just popped up. I honestly don't remember what the third thing was anymore. Yeah.
I don't either.
So
I honestly wanted to talk about some Marvel movies and the new trailer for Spider-Man Far From Home, but seeing as we're over an hour on this already,
right,
I think we can wrap it up unless you've got anything else pertinent.
Nope.
And we'll cover those topics at another time. I have very strong opinions on Avengers Endgame.
Oh, yeah.
And the trailer for Far From Home as well. I will not spoil whether those opinions are positive or negative, but spoiler, they're positive.
Yeah, we'll have to do another special episode at some point, maybe. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about that's going on
in
the MCU.
Yeah.
So,
and then in one short month, we'll do another episode where I will talk about Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah,
so that's
absolutely.
coming up, man. But yeah, other than that, 100 episodes.
Happy 100 episodes to you, Mr.
Yes.
Lorenzo.
Freaking nuts, man. 100 episodes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and God bless you if you've stuck with us, especially because, Kevin and I have been really good about sticking close-ish to 1 hour, where there was that string for a while where we're hitting 2.5 hours because we could not shut the fuck up. So, yeah. Thank you for listening for 100 episodes, and hopefully we'll carry on.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Thank you, listeners.
Yes.
Everybody out there.
Absolutely.
Viewers on YouTube.
Yes.
Of our whatever thumbnail Lorenzo's got going up there.
Yeah, so
we are working, or I am working on figuring out a reliable means of recording video.
Right.
And when that happens, hopefully we'll be doing some more original video content for YouTube. But in the meantime, we got our podcast on, I don't know, iTunes, Google Play,
Stitcher,
TuneIn,
YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've noticed recently that like iTunes isn't like the correct term anymore. It's just like Apple Podcasts, I think is what
it's Apple Podcasts. It's been that for a while, yeah. But
I'm just stuck in the legacy mode of iTunes. So Apple
Yeah.
Podcasts. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Google Play, Stitcher, please like, subscribe. If this is your first episode jumping into this one, then goodness knows, this is not our typical episode where we just run the gamut of topics. But thank you again for listening. If this is your first, or if this is the 100th episode you've been listening to, thank you for
absolutely.
sure. As always, we like to thank Lindsay at strangefantasymusic@gmail.com. She's the one who put together the jingle at the beginning and end of every episode. Also, we like to thank Kevin at They Call Me K-Dub on Twitter. He's the one who put together the cover art, that the nice animated drawing of Kevin and myself. But beyond that, I've been Lorenzo Fon.
Kevin Horde here.
These aren't the nerds you're looking for.
Bye-bye.